Wonderlab is a game about finding a match and making a grade. You have 2 cards to help you find a perfect partner. One has a number on it, one has a fortune on it. You must find another player between whom your cards add up to 5. So if you've got a 2, you're looking for a 3, a 1, you're looking for a 4. And you must find a player whose identity fulfills your fortune. So if your fortune says your ideal match was born outside London, then you need to find someone who was born outside London. Once you've found someone that you add up to 5 with, and someone who fulfills your fortune, and whose fortune you fulfill, you're ready to try and gain entry to the upper club, where waits for you a glass of wine and a nibble. It may not be so easy when you get to the doorman, but that's all I can tell you for now.
I'm a kind of St. Peter, really. People are in purgatory. They're sent. They try to get into where the chilled white wine is. I tell them that there is a glass destined for them if they can couple up and get into the upper club.
Do they meet with the maitre d's approval?
They do indeed. They
Gentlemen,
now meet with the criteria.
welcome to the upper club.
Thank you very much.
Yay!
Nobody applauded.
The bit that I was responsible for was the working with the others was the matches. Some of the matches are quite difficult to ascertain without really opening yourself up or potentially asking someone else to take a very bold step and opening themselves up.
This game's all about finding your perfect match, and that's what they're doing. It's about happy endings through constraints of systems.
I think what we're going to get from today are 3 things. One is an experience of the real, an experience of performance, and some interesting kind of demonstrations of game theory, and not the obvious game theory. We're looking at lack of conflict, harmony rather than conflict, which is the kind of classic games model.
I don't know, I'm a bit gobsmacked that we made it. It all happened. It was a struggle for a long time, then suddenly it just fell into place. I'm still trying to gather my thoughts to really understand where I am at the moment here. I'm wondering whether I'm on the outside looking in or the inside looking out.
What will happen as it goes on is more people will be gathered on one side, and I think the frustration level in the other room might rise. And so it goes quickly from being a standard mixing event to suddenly tipping in the other direction, and people might feel left out, they might feel observed a bit, and then of course there's going to be the frustration of them not necessarily knowing why they can't get in.
In how often games are about exclusion, that you're either in the game or you're out of the game. And if you're out of the game is a little bit incomprehensible. How did it feel? The 4 guys who were left at the end, how did that feel?
It was like being picked last.
Yeah, it was.
Best games are a mixture of people, struggling with each other for a little bit of supremacy, but in the course of doing that, they have a sense of connectedness with each other, or they're sharing something, or they're building a cultural meaning among them and between them. So I think this game will show that relationship pretty well.
It's very much not just a layer on top of a social gathering, because it introduces elements of artificiality. It introduces constraints and a few rules, and then it gives you space not just to have game rules, but to play around it. We don't necessarily tell people how truthful they need to be, and we don't necessarily tell people how straight they need to be. They can have a lot of fun. There's space to play around. So in one sense, it has toy-like qualities. You can mess around with it.
I wonder whether, as a panel, you got more enjoyment out of game design than the players did out of playing the game, and therefore...
I think it was enjoyable to design, but in no way was it. It was more fun because there were more people here, and the system isn't just the rules. The system is rules plus people. It wasn't a finished system until you lot turned up.
It was interesting that my partner, Peter, with whom I found my match, I didn't know anything about Peter until we arrived in the upper club, because until then, Richard. I think play is more elemental than games. I think it exists at a level of freedom and chaos out of which the limitations of a game arise. I think we've all had the experience over the last couple of days of literally playing with basic elements, playing with bits of paper, playing with language, playing with our own stories about ourselves, and in that moment of freedom, suddenly realising that a rule set can be made, or a story can be constructed, or a world can be created.
Some games have a simple acorn-like genesis that's generally driven by one creative individual. This game is not one of those. It's probably the only successful game made by committee that I can think of, and I think it's very, very interesting for that reason.
What happened this afternoon is 7 people designed a game by committee in 3 hours. I can state with some authority that has never been done before.